Hey everybody, how's it going? On today's video, we are going to be talking about a trip that me and my wife took recently, and I thought it was a cool enough thing that we went to share it with y'all, and hopefully maybe someday you will go and experience this event for yourselves. What event am I talking about? This event is called the Great Jack-O-Lantern Blaze. This is in New York. There are two locations in New York that you can go to. One is Hudson Valley, and the other is the one that we went to was Long Island, New York. And it was a weird but very cool, very fun event. And I want to go ahead and just give you some pros and cons of our experience, and maybe this will get you to travel to New York one day and experience it for yourself. So let's go off and talk more about the info of the Great Jack-O-Lantern Blaze event. This event that we went to was located in Long Island, New York. The event length, when it started, when you can start going and stop going, at least in 2024, is from October 4th all the way to November 3rd. And the event took us, personally, an hour and 30 minutes. And we went to New York around October 19th of this year, and our timed event was we could enter the event at 7:30. So this event was very weird but fun, and I would, before I get into my pros and cons, say this event is definitely highly recommended. It was an experience, and I really enjoyed it, and my wife enjoyed it, and it was just. And the fact that we went to one and saw some of the pictures from the other Hudson Valley event that's still in New York, we thought, hey, why not in the future go and experience the other one instead of Long Island? So that's one of our future things that we'll be traveling to, is going back to New York and experiencing the Hudson Valley Blaze instead of the Long Island Blaze. So let's go ahead and get to some of the pros. First pro is it is a great time to be outside. That's being outside in New York around in October is fantastic. The leaves are turning, it's fall, especially the time frame we went around. We went like mid-October, and it was just a great time to be outside. It wasn't too cold, it wasn't too hot, and it was awesome. Next is the displays of the pumpkins. The pumpkins were amazing. All of the carved things that you got to see, the displays, the time it took, it was insane. It was very intense, and the amount of time that went into this was just phenomenal and a little mind-blowing, because it took us an hour and a half to go through the Long Island Blaze event, and just the sheer amount of all the stuff that has been put up was just kind of like, whoa, this is pretty intense. And we really enjoyed taking seeing all the displays, seeing all the pumpkins, the ones that are carved, and the ones it was like little minion kind of like looking pumpkins that had they were doing little things here and there, being aliens or playing out other events, or dressed up as like police officers and other characters all around the your little path, your little trail of walking around and seeing all the carved pumpkins. You also got to see these little pumpkin-esque little imps or something like that. But it was very cool, very weird, but very cool. And next, it was very spacious, and it was not crowded. We were at a good clipped pace. We were moving continuously. We stopped a couple times to see something in more detail and take it in more. And there wasn't ever really, in my opinion, crowded parts. Some parts got a little bottlenecked because of how cool it was, but it was outside, it was spacious, and it didn't feel like, this wasn't an indoor event, so it didn't get hot, it didn't get stuffy, and it was like cool fall weather in Long Island, New York. So it was a great time, and I was very glad that we did start out in a location that was inside, and it was a little cramped, but at the same time, you didn't do it for very long, and you got back outside, and you just went into the event, and it was awesome. Next is it's personally for us. Uh, we've decided not to have kids, and so sometimes we go to travel to events and things as people that are child free by choice, and we have to kind of contend with people that have kids, and sometimes it's not great, and sometimes we want to experience something, and sometimes children are screaming in the background. And again, I can't control what other people do with their kids. But if you're somebody that has made the choice or doesn't have kids, and you're not wanting to get into an event or area or something like that with a bunch of kids, then this is a great event for that. There were kids there, but it wasn't like there wasn't just so many, or you weren't tripped up by or had to contend with too many kids. Because again, you're outside, you're moving, you're looking at things. Most kids are just preoccupied with their parents at the pumpkin displays. And so personally for me, I just thought that was a plus, because sometimes we go to events and, not saying all the time, but sometimes kids just kind of like there, and you're like, I wish you weren't here screaming or being disruptive and all that. So, I mean, yeah, it was just a great event for those that are like taking someone on a date. If you live locally in New York, or you live close and you want to do a weekend trip, like we did, and it was a great time, especially like kids weren't a factor, and it was awesome, and it was nice that it wasn't it didn't damper on the experience. But yeah, great. There were timed events, and it was like I think 30 minutes each time. I don't know exactly when it starts. Ours was at 7:30. It was a good time. We thought was a good time to go, because it was getting late, but not terribly late. Because I think like when we were leaving, it was like 9:30. Attendees were able to enter, and it was just like, whoa, we not staying that long. And the prices for the tickets that we specifically got were $75 each, and it's a little pricey, especially when you account for like all the travel expenses. Personally, for us, but it was I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and $75 to go and see and spend an hour and a half there. Yeah, a little pricey, but it's definitely less pricey than some trips we've been on that have traveling and all that. So I would say this is pretty good deal with especially how much time the people that run Blaze put into the whole event. It was just really cool. So now let's go ahead and move into some of the cons that I personally had with this event. That they're not terrible. They're not like, I still would recommend you go to this event, unless everything I've said so far you're just kind of like, no, I don't want to do that. But these are some of the cons that I saw. First was the event was definitely longer than expected. We were checking some times because we were kind of wondering, because we wanted to get a time that we had enough time after the event to go get dinner somewhere locally, that we weren't rushing to get somewhere to eat, or have to eat something like subpar or something that was because it was too late. But yeah, we saw it was like supposed to be just 45 minutes. And then we were like, oh yeah, so we were just expecting 45-minute turnaround. And when we were done and we checked the time, because again, we weren't checking time, we were just like enjoying ourselves walking through this whole experience. And after we were done, they were calling. It was actually one of the people calling out for the next tickets. Next group of people to come in, and they were like 9:30, come on in. And we were like, we have been here for how long? Like we got a little earlier than our time slot, but they also let us come in around, like, I think we came in around 7:15, and we're really leaving around like 9:15. So, or maybe a little bit before that, a little bit before 9. So it was again like an hour and a half of going through this event, and we were just kind of like, oh man, we got to make sure that like some of the places we wanted, because we had restaurants picked out, and we were really glad that we came and did an earlier event, because it just took a lot longer than what we've expected. And we were able to go to the restaurant that we had picked out afterwards, and that was close by. So it was a plus, but it was definitely a little bit of like, oh crap, we gotta go because we have, things to do and things planned out after this. And it definitely took out longer than we thought. So that's just something to keep an account for, that we thought, it's something that just we would love to know more and how long it actually took. Again, I'm talking for specifically the Long Island Blaze event. I don't know about the Hudson Valley, if that's less of a trip, but again, our experience was an hour and a half long. Next, this is not a big one. It was just kind of like, I could see this being problematic for some. The second you get outside and you're starting the event, starting to walk down the trail, there's refreshments, and it's kind of small, and it was there's a lot of people coming through, so it was kind of congested, and we thought about getting something, but we were just like, no, we're gonna have dinner afterwards, so we didn't want to really spoil it, but it was just congested, and it was kind of like, I might have gotten something if it was a little less crowded, but again, it kind of feels a little nitpicky, but it's something I just wanted to point out because it was kind of like you got your refreshments or you just kept going because you were close to the entrance to where people were starting to come outside, and from the little display inside, you come outside and it's kind of right there. So yeah, it was just a little crowded in the refreshments area, but again, that might not be a con to you. It wasn't really to us. It's just something I would like to point out. And next, this location is in New York. And I'm not saying New York is something bad or like a terrible place to be and to go, but if you live on the other side of the country, or live a little too far away, and it's not that close where you can do a weekend trip like we did, it's kind of like, oh, darn. And so I would just say location. And some people also, like, we had to travel through New York City, and it was a little intimidating, but in the area that we are living in, I commute to city traffic, and it's definitely not as intense as New York City. But it was enough to where I felt like I could get through it and drive through and be fine. But it might be a little intimidating for those that want to drive to Long Island or Hudson Valley and experience the Blaze event. So we came in the night and left in towards the morning when we were leaving New York City. But it was manageable. I mean, like, if you just don't freak out, because the traffic is pretty hectic. I mean, it's to be expected. As long as you go into it with that mindset, then you'll be fine. It's really not that bad, but I can see some people just seeing where it's located and being like, oh, that's such a con. And so I just wanted to just point it out. I don't really think it's a con, but I think it's something to be, again, pointed out that some people might not enjoy, especially if you can't drive your vehicle to New York, and you have to go ahead and fly in, travel in, and you want to get that whole experience, because then, obviously Ubers, rental cars, and all that jazz might add up and make it more of an expensive trip than we had. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the Great Jack-O-Lantern Blaze event. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really weird. Me and my wife had a great time, and all the cool pumpkins that they had out it was just a great event. And if you have the time where you can go ahead and go to New York, and you're in that time frame of October, November time, and you can go ahead and experience it, I would highly recommend it. It is just a great experience, and something that I think a lot of people should go and enjoy. So yeah, thank you. And if anyone from Blaze is watching this, thank you for everything you put into the event. It was really cool to see all the displays, some of the artists working as you were going through, and everything was pretty, it was ran smoothly, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. So I hoped this helped. I hope you may be interested in going to Blaze someday yourself. And if not, then maybe I saved you a trip, because this might not be for you. But yeah. All right. Well, I will see you all later. Toodles.